Hey, today we are going to learn how to 10x your visibility on the Believe Retreat for Creatives. Our special guest, Dr. Dr. Smiley Rochon with Perfect Publishing. Let's talk about your next big creative step. Here we are.
Hey,
How are you
Little
guys
late, but
doing
we
this
made
week?
it.
speakers?
So Francine, you have a very special person to introduce to us today.
Yes, I do. Dr. Smiley is my mentor, my coach, my publisher, and he is going to be the publisher for the Believe Retreat anthology. Believe that you can. So, can we bring him out?
Okay, here it comes.
He's our Believe brother. Believe brother. Hey, Ken.
Hey,
How,
Ken.
how are you guys?
Awesome.
You're
Great
believers.
here.
We are. We're totally excited to be talking to you today.
I am as well. Thank you very much for having me. So I'm guessing you have some questions lined up.
I went through your little course at the Toastmasters conference, and can you just give I know that was like a 45-minute course, which eventually everybody who wants to be a part of this project will get. But can you give like a short 4 or 5 minute synopsis of that course you taught?
I can do shorter than that. I can do 10 seconds. So if I, and all kidding aside, if I was to do it in 10 or 15 seconds, I would say it's all about distribution and marketing. Did I do it under 10 seconds?
Yes, but now
No, I know.
it's
I'm going to give you the 3-4 minute deeper dive, but I just want to say, if you are going to make coffee and you love coffee and you don't know for yourself what the ingredients are for coffee, you could actually have a really bad experience with coffee. Or if you want to drive a car and you just don't know how to fill up the car, it's only going to go so far. So my point is, I've looked at many businesses, and I have roughly 5 or 6 that are still operating. And I've noticed the one core thing that they all have. They have a marketing plan, and that marketing plan creates traffic. And that traffic creates an ability that even if you're not ready for the business, that you can get better at doing the business and master the business because you're getting so many opportunities to continue to grow. So I have talked to people that know what they're doing with the book, and they know what to do with the marketing of the book. And I want to ask them, wow, you are so, fortunate that you have all these New York Times bestsellers, or you have all these successes. And they said, yeah, my first 21 books were my practice books, and you hear that kind of thing and you say, oh, so in other words, the first time you go to school, or the first time you go to bat, or the first time you play soccer, or the first time you play the piano, I'm not supposed to be a genius yet? Okay, so it's okay. So I will say that my best talk was probably at that Toastmasters, but I had given hundreds, if not close to 1,000 talks, because when you hear the 45 minutes, you hear how you want to design the flow of and then also you look at your audience and you get things very quickly. And I have a long way to go before I'm a Toastmaster champion. But my point is, I have done 60 books. And my son, who is only 11, has done 14 books. My clients do multiple books. And the reason they do is because of that first thing I said in tongue in cheek called distribution and marketing. So if you love a guy named past President Obama, or you love a person named President Trump, if you love them, they did not get it because they did a one frequency hit of having a speech. They created a campaign. And I think the campaign is the word I would use the highest of why a book makes it. So a campaign requires strategy. It requires duration. It requires a plan. It requires opportunities, leveraging. It requires you to use resources correctly. So if I was to do the remaining 2 minutes, it would be to say, do you know the variables for a book succeeding? And I had shared in the Toastmasters that the little C that we write here is the content, and it is a very little C. The content, it does not need to be big. It needs to be powerfully amplified, because when it's powerfully amplified, that content will stick to cause conversations. So many people look at a book as, gosh, the book has to be fantastic. No, the marketing does. You can always make the book fantastic later. And so I don't encourage someone to put out a crappy book, but if you have a good book and you market it phenomenally, you will make a master book. But if you have a master book and you do it unphenomenally and you do it piss poor, which 99% of people do, all you have is a phenomenal book. You have it. And I think a lot of people get lost in what a book is. I mean, if you look at a toolbox, you wouldn't say to the tool in the toolbox, hey, go ahead and make me a ton of money. It's a tool to get a job done, to solve a problem. A book, I never thought it was going to make me rich. I didn't care it was going to make me rich. I wanted it to do another job. I wanted to cause a conversation. And if you're the type person that a conversation is worth $500 or $5,000 or $25,000 or $50,000 or please $500,000, a book would have that type of conversation if you use it correctly. So let me give you a couple examples very quickly, and then I'm going to close up that 3 or 4 minutes, because I've told you theory, but I'm going to give you one example. If the person in your industry is way bigger than you and your marketing plan is phenomenal and they know it is, they would be attracted to be a voice for your message. That's called taking a person that is phenomenal, that you could never afford possibly, and putting them as the forward of your book because you have the prowess to make them, value by putting them on the forward. I can't tell you how many people I ask, hey, are you dialed in? Do you know influencers? And they say yes or no. The people that say yes, they said, well, who's your biggest influence? And they say, well, I actually know Gary Vee. And I go, really? I said, is he going to write your forward? And they go, I hadn't even thought of that. I go, oh my gosh, you haven't thought of 100X in your book. And they said, you really think it would 100X it? And I go, well, if you go into a room, how many people know you? And they say, nobody. I said, if Gary Vee goes in a room, how many people know him? And he goes, almost everybody. I said, you don't think that's a 100X situation? So that's just a little 3-4 minutes of some of the theories and some of the things I do to make sure a book has success.
That is a fantastic tip, Ken, because that makes me think, okay, let's all reach for the stars. Let's all see who, because when you forward a book, you're basically endorsing it. And then when you're promoting it and you're doing hashtags on social media with that influencer's name, because they have so many followers, you're going to have eyes on that post that's never been seen before. So thank you for dropping a golden nugget with us.
Pleasure.
I can see why Francine said that she came home with so many notes now.
Well, look at Les Brown. Les Brown has lots of clients, he has lots of opportunities, and he's lots of book forwards. So, and by the way, he builds his clients to deserve the praise that he gives them on the front cover. So there's all these wins happening. He's able to flex his muscle and tout, this is another one of my clients, and yes, I'm proud of them because they've done what they were supposed to do. They were hungry, and they got the job done. So I will be putting my stamp of my name. And look at the book; it flourishes. The brand, i.e., the author. And by the way, let's use a new identifier. An author is, I would say, a great name for the experience of not having impact. Not having impact, great name, author. If you want to have the right name for ROI, impact, income, abundance, that would be personal brand.
Yes.
So Francine knew that we cared about building her personal brand. We use cameras, we use connections, we use social media. We use, we're even thinking about using Restream. Come on.
Here we are.
Well, got to test it out today. What do you think so far?
And we use sparkle feathers.
I love it. And I have to applaud you guys. First of all, you're teaching me something new. And as a person who likes to leverage and hack and think of how you can make things work more powerfully so you don't have to work as powerful, this is quite a tool. This is a great tool. And I want to go back to a funny question that I've heard recently. A business card. Most people don't carry them. I carry a business card.
Ah.
But on the back of that business card, it says we amplify goodness. And then it just has 3 of my books. And
Ah.
my only care is that they hold it and smile. But my other care is they know later that's what I'm about. So
And Heidi and her puppy both have their pictures holding the card.
that's awesome. Well, I want you to think about this. If there's 100 Toastmasters, there's 100 leaders, or there's 100 networkers, and no one's carrying a card, and one is, that person just stood out. But I want to tell you, I think, a funny thing that I shared at the Toastmasters. Some people said, no one's handing cards anymore because we have these digital cards. Well, a digital card is like a digital book. If you have a digital book, you have not, quote unquote, invested in a book yet, if that's all you have is a digital book, because no one knows that it exists physically. And I just had this gentleman on my show. His book is the reason he got on my show. The reason when he mailed it to me, I wanted to read the book, and I wanted to read what he wrote to me. And I say all these things to say, if you are getting away from a tangible thank you letter, you are missing the point that you would stand out. How are you standing out? So when I do a book, I look at how my book would stand out. And so many people spend, I'll just say, a very, very small percentage of their time and energy on the cover. And I'm telling you, that's worth more than the book.
I thought you weren't supposed to judge a book by its cover, Ken.
And by the way, that is one of my first things I say to people. You're not supposed to, but tell me who doesn't. That's the problem.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time on covers. I mean, Francine is such a champion author because she understood that we can't write an inspiring book if we're not inspired by the cover. And think about this. If you have, I mean, I know this is really just very plain, but I can't tell you how many people light up. They light up because of the words and it's friendly. It's the right color tone. I've had people say, well, if you're gonna hold up your card, can I hold up my card? Well, tell me how many people can see that. So I am old fashioned in that if everything that is working is old fashioned, I'll do it. Now I mix it with the new stuff. But can you imagine going to the printer? Okay, I don't care which card you're using, and you ask the printer, hey, I'm thinking about printing 1,000 of these cards. How much money am I going to make on this investment of these cards? The printer would look at you like you're crazy. The printer would say, I've never heard anyone ask me that. Don't you know what to do with the cards? Well, move the word cards and put the word book in. Can you imagine? I asked, and that's how come I became a publisher. I asked publishers, I said, you want $25,000 from me. How am I making that money back with this book? And that was not the question to ask. In fact, the answer was something to this effect. Oh, you don't make money with books. And I argue that then how am I making money with a business card? How am I making money with a book? How am I making money with a car? It's what are you doing with that tool to get a conversation? Now, there are 2 parts to this. One is, are you ready for the conversation? And that's called sales. And the other one is having traffic to have conversations. So it's just like a batting average or, throwing a basketball, whatever. There are how many times do you hit a home run or a goal? And so a book is causing you to have more conversations, and hopefully it's helping you have your sales techniques increase to learn what you're actually solving with that book. So in other words, if you have someone who's a prospect and you say, you know what, you really want to turn to chapter 6, I think this is going to knock out of the park for you. And they read chapter 6, and then you say something like, did anyone else send you a book with the answers of how you could solve this problem? And they say, no. And then you can simply ask the question, I wonder if they cared. I mean, that's a really interesting question to ask when you are competing with 5 other people and no one gave them a gift, you did. And the gift was how to solve the problem. And you asked for nothing and you gave. Their mind went to, okay, he's a contender or she's a contender and maybe one other. They just got rid of 3 like that.
I love that.
It's powerful. I mean,
I knew you would love that, Joanna.
People have to, right? People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's another precious gem you shared with us on leveraging that and showing them, hey, I have an answer for you. And I think about that with an anthology. When we become familiar with the fellow writers in our anthology and their stories, we meet people and say, you remind me of someone that's that's in an anthology that I was a part of. You love, this is a story I know is going to help you. You just got the wheels turning of
Well,
how we can weave this project into offering solutions to everyone that we meet. Will totally stand out from the rest.
heck yeah. And in fact, I'm going to give you two fives. One five is for the compilation, and the other five is what you get when you do a book. Okay. So the five things you get from a compilation. If you're going with another publisher, or you're going into self-publishing, or you're going into, I don't have any other objective than to complete the book. Are you with me? Like,
No.
it's not, there's nothing wrong with doing a book. There's nothing wrong with that. But if all you want to do is a book, that's called a bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make money with a book, these are the five. So they're all education, by the way. If you have a publisher that is educated, loves educating, and has a populace of authors that want to learn and apply what they learn to actually have impact and income and inspiration. They're all the big three I's: income, inspiration, and income.
Impact.
Yeah. Well, impact, income, inspiration. These are three I's. And they all come from having the right juice behind it. So we spend time talking to the authors as a community. Hey, if you don't know what to do with a book, I would like to teach you how to market with a book. How would you market yourself with a book? Hey, when you go to a networking event, I would like to teach you how to use your book to network better. If you don't know how to refer, there are people that don't worry about yourself. Think about how you can help the people in the book and only focus on them, then they will focus on you, as you said earlier about the caring.
Yeah.
Refer with the book. Put a business card in the book of the chapter, or you can do it digitally. Don't get lost in giving away $4 or $5 a pop. You can do it with, I give hundreds of thousands of digital books away. I'm not putting down digital books. I'm saying don't have a digital book without a tangible book. You must have both. Because when you meet someone like a Les Brown, you don't say to Les Brown, hey, here's my card, go to this website and you can get your free copy of my digital book. I mean, he would look at you and say, okay, I am going to go have some coffee right now.
You got to be ready. Like you said, be prepared.
Yeah.
The sales. Yeah.
I give, when Jack Canfield or Les Brown or anyone big is leaving the room, I run over to them. I say, hey, I know no one else may have given you a gift. You've given so many gifts. I'd like to give you mine. All right. And it makes such a difference. I mean, I might give one of my Keep Smiling books away with all these different covers, or I might give the one that actually they're in. Like if they held a smile card, why not give them the book that they're in? I gave a book to Jack Canfield. It was called the Speaker's Edition. It was a very expensive mastermind, and he was coming in to speak at this very expensive mastermind, and he was leaving. Before he went up to speak, I handed him the book at a break, and I said, hey, I just want to show you. And he was in the book, and I gave it to him. During the mastermind, he flipped every single page of the entire book because he wanted to know three things. One, who he knew. Two, who he wanted to know. And three, did he have all his friends in there? Like, is someone missing? And so it was the inquiry and and being curious. And I said, man, I've never seen someone go through a book. He went through the entire book because it was that interesting. So I knew, and by the way, if you can give a book to somebody and they're super influential and they're leaving the room and they're going to a plane and they don't have anything else to read and you gave them a book, I guarantee you got 5 minutes of their attention. 5 minutes.
Awesome. Perfect timing.
So, and then the most important part is sales. Use your book to sell. If you have 5 competitors, 10 competitors, 3 competitors, and they don't have books, use your book to sell. In other words, solve problems with your books and have the people that you've helped and proven that you've helped write the endorsement. This book is the answer. This personal brand is the person. And I can't tell you how many people miss these very valuable pieces. The forward. Dedication is easy. I dedicate this to Francine. She's one of my best friends. She caused me to write this book. But acknowledgments is really a place where you miss out on your network being shining on your network. I write a minimum of 1 page and upwards of 2 pages of all the people that make a difference in my life, not to get them to buy the book, to get them to know that they made a difference in my life. And they feel it. Like they see the people I put and they go, wow, I'm included in that list. Like it's a big deal because you can't make a book and say, this is all my book. All the people that were in that acknowledgement, and by the way, the people that don't put anything in acknowledgement, they just said, I want 99% of my closest friends not to know how important they are. I mean, that's really the statement you're making. It's just a crazy statement. And Calls to action. I cannot believe how many times the book, they use the back cover to say how great the author is and not what it does for the reader. The back cover is not for the author. It is for the reader to entice them to buy a $20 investment. That's not the $20. It's the time that they're going to spend reading it if they even want to read it. So you've got to start your copy in the back of the book with, if you have this and you want this, this book gives you this. Then it comes with 3 testimonials, 3 powerful people with 3 big titles saying it's true. It's true. You can have a little picture of yourself so that people know there's really a person, not an AI bot, writing this thing. And you can have a little thing underneath saying like 3 accolades. I'm a dad, I'm a world traveler, I'm an international speaker. But boom, you don't need to go any more than that. The 3 testimonials are more important than the bio. When you get to the bio, marry the bio with the call to action. Hey, I'm so glad you like this book. You like this? Go to my YouTube channel. Hey, you love this book? You've got to go to Restream. I'm telling you, Restream is where it's at, baby. And then hire me for your event. I love to come to events. I like to speak my heart, and I like to help audiences get what you got out of the book. So you give them 2 or 3 choices, but you spread it out so it's not confusing. So you might have one page that says, hire me. The other one says, follow me. Those are really, and by the way, when you say follow me, don't pick like 4,000 things that they can follow you on. Pick the 3 that make you money. Here's the 3 I think that make you money. Your website, your LinkedIn, your IG, and your YouTube. If you have those 4, that's enough. I would pick only 3 of them, by the way. And I would let the website go, by the way. I would just put the website, boom, as a line.
Yeah.
And then let those 3, and don't put the 3 you can follow, QR code underneath. Every one of them should have a QR code far enough away that it is easy to zap them and get right there. And then give them a benefit of going to those places. I mean, you're looking at the book being the beginning of a conversation. So the cover is the beginning of the conversation. The book is the beginning of a human conversation. And I love this quote that I heard about cover. It says, if you don't think a cover is important and you make a bad cover, the author next to you is very grateful.
I love it. You're telling us exactly what to do. I love these instructions. I'm going to be referring to this live stream multiple times. I'm going to be tagging people who would like to write books. Ken Rochon is telling us exactly what to do. I thank you, because this is a $50,000 conversation we're having right now.
Would I have your permission to just give you 1 more minute only?
Okay.
Is it okay? Because this is I promised 5 more. So a book gives you authority, it gives you business acumen, it gives you credibility, and it gives you the power of expertise. This one right here is the powerful one, distribution. If you don't have that one taken care of, the other 4 don't matter. Thank you very much.
That's 10 points.
That was only 30 seconds.
Beautiful.
Well, hopefully we will have Ken back again sometime soon. He's a very, very, very busy guy.
I'm already. Oh, by the way, I'm not busy. I'm going to tell you why I'm not busy. I'm productive, and you guys are important, so I will always put you guys in the priority.
Thank you for that.
There's just something that I want to say to the people who have been listening to us promote this anthology. What he just said sounded like it was all about individual solo books. But imagine, if you would, you have 49 other writers all coming together to write a chapter in this one book, and you get a whole page where you can tell people how to find you. So not only are you distributing this book to your friends and your family and your network, but this is going out to the networks of the 49 other authors too, who will have their eyes on you.
And the expertise, really, what Ken brings to this whole thing is leveraging, monetizing, right? So impact, inspiration, and income. Did I get those 3?
You did, and I want to say the education piece could be valued at $2,000 easily. I mean, if I do a webinar a weekend with it, so they're getting what they really need to be successful with all books. And by the way, Francine, thank you. But the 5 things I'm teaching are how to use the book with the community of the authors.
Yes.
Beautiful. This is going to be wonderful.
And what I love about everything I heard you say, it's so similar to music. A book and a song are kind of like a business card, and you're not necessarily going to make money off of the song, but it starts the conversation with your fans that get them interested in everything that there is to do about you, not just that one thing. And that keeps them coming back. And that's some human connection. And so I really love what I'm hearing from you, because I know a lot of musicians that are also very interested in being an author, and it sounds like they could use similar strategies.
Yeah, and you're creating a compilation that's like an orchestra. And if you have a conductor that doesn't know what they're doing with the book, you actually just have a bunch of people playing and they didn't get to be heard. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah, I love that piece that you just said, because there's a quote from Steve Jobs in the movie. He talks to Steve Wozniak, his partner. Steve Wozniak complains. He says, this person, I know what they do. They're engineering. This person, I know what they're doing. They're accounting. And this person does this. Steve, what do you even do? And Steve says, I'm the conductor.
There we go.
So I assume that job and that responsibility very seriously, because if you don't have someone that's harmonizing and creating all that harmony, it is actually just an experience of, but boom, I did a book with a bunch of people I don't know. But when you cause that education piece and everyone gets to know each other, that becomes a tribe, and that tribe becomes very powerful. I mean, just think about this: the tribe says, so and so, John or whoever says, Mary says, my birthday's next week. I'm dropping my book, and the tribe says, we're there for you. And it's 49 purchases, and it's 49 reviews within days, and they are on the map. I mean, 50x is a very, very important variable of explosion. Very explosion.
Well, this is wonderful, and I'm so excited. Of course, we have our workshops coming up in June this month, right? Our
Next
Next
week.
week, man,
is
Tuesday
already.
evening. So we're
Already.
going to be
Whoa.
streaming next week, and then later on in the evening, 7 o'clock, we're going to be doing our first event. Yes, you can start, even though it seems
It's
hard.
starting.
It's not going to be this time. It's going to be really easy. You just need to come to the event.
Okay, I have one more
So
question for Ken. Ken, when we first talked about this project, you said that there's a way to help people who just aren't writers, those people who barely passed English class in high school. Can you just give us a little example of how we could help them?
Yes, this conversation is a great way. Let's say I'm not a great writer, and let's say for fun, all of us are not great writers. We could take this, transcribe it, and look at it and say, you know what, this doesn't flow, or just hand it to an editor and say, can you make this flow better? And by the way, I don't agree with AI doing the job of the writer or the communicator or the speaker, but I do agree with AI saying, this is what you meant to say, and this could be done a little bit nicer or a little more professional, and it sings and it rings to you. So I'm glad you brought up that question, because it is not the job of the writer to write something that disconnects the reader. It's the job of the writer to speak to the reader, to connect with the reader, and that would cause a language that's almost spoken, not even written.
That is a great point, because we can speak so freely, so
Yes.
easily. So why not capture that and put that in written form? And of course, Ken, I look forward to being a part of this orchestra that you're conducting, because I'm old school journalist. I was wrote my first press release in 1988, the Associated Press
Oh
style book.
boy.
We call it the Bible in the newsroom, where I cut my teeth. So I've been, writing and editing for decades. And it's just nice to have a variety of skills that we all bring to the table to support people, whether this is their 10th anthology, their first, or whatever it is, to make sure that everyone is successful. And with your tips on effective distribution, and how this opens doors to so many opportunities for us to really get a return on that investment. It's just amazing. And can we wrap this up and put it on a bow, ladies?
I think we can.
The thing-
How about some flowers?
well, before we do, next week we're going to be talking about suffering from imposter syndrome, and we have two special guests, Faith Young and Jeff Glauser, that are going to be joining us. And Joanna, why don't you take us to the end with the neat little bow?
Of course. Just remember, everyone, if you can conceive it, you can believe it and therefore achieve it. So from the head,
To the heart.
To the hands.
yes,
Yes,
you
you
can.
can.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ken, Dr.
Jen.
Smiley Rashawn. Awesome conversation. We're going to be posting this on social media.
Should I end
Hashtags.
it?
You can join this. Wonderful.